Somewhere right now, there's a 77-year-old woman turning down a dinner invitation, not because she's busy, not because she's tired, but because she simply doesn't feel like putting on real pants tonight. Somewhere else, a 74-year-old man is in a heated online argument about whether now is the right time for a Roth conversion, and he is winning. And a few miles from there, an 81-year-old just signed up for a beginner pottery class, where he will be, by a comfortable margin, the oldest and the worst person in the room, and he could not be more thrilled about it. Now, if you passed these three people on the street, you wouldn't think twice, but every single one of them is doing something quietly radical. They are refusing to hand over the parts of themselves that make life worth living. Because retirement comes with a sneaky little problem. It doesn't just give you your time back, it also arrives with this soft, polite pressure to start shrinking, to slow down, to go quiet, to let things go one by one until you're a smaller, more agreeable, more forgettable version of the person you spent 70 years becoming. And most people go along with it. They surrender the things that lit them up because somewhere along the way, somebody made them feel like those things just weren't for them anymore. But the wise ones, the ones who actually seem to enjoy this chapter instead of just surviving it, they dig their heels in. There's a short list of things they will not give up, not for their kids, not for their neighbors, not for anybody. So today, we're counting down the 9 things wise retirees flat out refuse to give up. Some of them will surprise you. Let's get into it. Number 9, their privacy. We'll start with a quiet one that sneaks up on people. Somewhere along the way, retirees can find their whole life turning into an open book, and not by choice. The kids want to know where you are. There's an app tracking your location, just in case. Somebody wants a full report on the doctor's appointment, the bank balance, and who called and why. It all comes from love, sure, but love, if you're not careful, has a way of turning into surveillance with a smile on it. Wise retirees hold a firm line here. They keep some things to themselves, and they don't apologize for it. Not everything needs to be broadcast to the group chat. They don't owe anybody a minute-by-minute account of their day, their health, or their heart. Because privacy isn't secrecy. Privacy is dignity. It's the right to have a life that is fully your own, with corners in it that belong to you and nobody else. The person who has to explain every choice to a committee of relatives has quietly stopped being an adult and started being a project. So they decide what to share and what to keep. They answer the questions they want to answer and let the rest go. And they protect that little private world of theirs, because a person with no space of their own doesn't feel free, they feel managed. And nobody worked 40 years to end up managed. Number 8, their personal standards. Here's a little truth. Nobody would blame you if you let yourself go a little in retirement. There's no boss to impress, nowhere you have to be, and stretchy waistbands were invented for a reason. And yet, watch the wise ones. They keep their standards, not to impress anyone, for themselves. They still get dressed properly, even on a day when the only witness is the mailman. They keep their home the way they like it. They hold on to their manners, their little rituals, the way they take pride in doing a thing right instead of just getting it over with. It's not vanity, it's self-respect that you can see from the outside. Because standards are one of those quiet things that hold a person upright. The moment "I don't need to bother today" becomes "I never bother anymore," something starts to slip, and it's rarely just the clothes. It's the whole posture of a person who's decided they're not worth the effort, and that's a sad slide to watch. The wise retiree refuses to become someone they wouldn't have respected 20 years ago. They keep the bar where they set it. So when they catch their reflection, they don't see someone winding down. They see someone still very much in the game and looking pretty sharp doing it.
Number 7, their curiosity. The world tells older folks a lie, and it tells it constantly. That the learning years are behind you, that your brain is a filing cabinet that filled up around your 50th birthday and now only takes stuff out. Complete nonsense, and wise retirees know it. These are the people signing up for Spanish lessons at 72, teaching themselves to paint at 68, finally figuring out how their smartphone actually works, not because a grandkid shamed them into it, but because they flat out refuse to be locked out of the world they still live in. One fellow I heard about took up the ukulele at 79 for the specific and glorious reason that he wanted to annoy his cat. Mission accomplished, by the way. And it's not really about the ukulele or the Spanish or the painting. It's about staying a person who is still becoming something. The moment you decide you're done learning, you've quietly announced that you're done growing. And a person who stops growing tends to start doing the other thing. You know the one. So they stay curious. They keep asking questions. They stay a little bit like beginners because the beginner's brain is a young brain no matter how many candles are on the cake. Curiosity is the thing that keeps the lights on upstairs, and the wise ones refuse to reach for the switch. Number 6, their physical capability. Let's talk about the body, because this is the one people give up without even noticing they're doing it. It happens gradually. The stairs become a bother, so you avoid them. The walk feels like a lot, so you skip it. You sit a little more, move a little less, and each small surrender feels perfectly reasonable in the moment. But add up enough reasonable little surrenders, and one day you look up and realize the world got a whole lot smaller, and your own 2 legs are the reason. Wise retirees fight this like their independence depends on it, because it does. They keep moving. They walk. They lift things. Some of them are in the gym in their 70s doing squats and startling the 20-somethings. It's not about looking like a magazine cover. It's about being able to carry your own groceries, get down on the floor to play with a grandkid, and climb back up again without a rescue party. Strength is freedom you can flex. The wise ones understand that the body follows the demands you put on it. Ask nothing of it, and it will happily give you nothing back. Ask it to stay strong, and it'll surprise you well into your 80s. So they keep asking, because the day you can't get up on your own is the day somebody else starts making your decisions, and they intend to put that day off as long as humanly possible. Number 5, their right to say no. For decades, a lot of folks spent their working lives saying yes. Yes to the extra shift. Yes to the favor. Yes to the thing they didn't want to do because being agreeable felt like the responsible choice. And plenty of people carry that reflex straight into retirement. Except now, the yes is aimed at babysitting every single weekend, hosting every holiday, and being the free chauffeur, handyman, and on-call problem solver for the entire extended family. Wise retirees rediscovered a word they'd nearly forgotten, and it's a beautiful word: no. No, I can't watch the kids this Saturday. No, I don't want to drive 2 hours for that. No, I've already got plans, and my plans are allowed to be sitting on my porch doing gloriously nothing. They're not becoming crabby or selfish, they're becoming honest. They've done the math and realized time is now the one resource they genuinely can't earn more of, so they've stopped spending it on things that drain them just to dodge an awkward moment. Every no to something they don't want is quietly a yes to something they do. And here's the funny part. People respect them more for it, not less. A retiree whose yes actually means something is a person whose yes is worth having. Turns out the folks who can say no are the ones you're genuinely glad to see when they show up.
Number 4, their close friendships. Somewhere in your 50s or 60s, friendship gets weirdly hard. People move, people pass, people get swallowed by their own lives. And the cruel math of getting older is that your address book starts losing names faster than it gains them. Most people just let that happen. They watch the circle shrink and shrug like it's the weather. Wise retirees fight it, actively. They pick up the phone even when it feels like a hassle. They're the ones who organize the lunch, plan the trip, and text thinking of you to someone they haven't seen in a while. They understand that friendships at this stage of life don't maintain themselves. They need a caretaker, and they've decided to be it. And this matters more than almost anything on this whole list, because loneliness isn't just sad, it's dangerous. The research on this is genuinely alarming. Chronic loneliness does real damage to the body, right up there with some of the vices your doctor lectures you about. So the wise ones treat their friendships like a garden, not a museum. You don't just stand back and admire it, you get your hands dirty, you pull the weeds, and you keep it alive on purpose. Because a rich retirement with nobody to share it with is just an expensive way to be lonely, and they've decided they're not doing that. Number 3, their independence. We touched on this a few times, but now let's put it front and center, because it's the one everybody's secretly most afraid of losing. There comes a moment in a lot of retirements when the world starts gently suggesting you shouldn't do things for yourself anymore. Maybe you shouldn't drive. Maybe you shouldn't live alone. Maybe you shouldn't handle your own money, your own schedule, your own choices. And sometimes those conversations are genuinely necessary. That's real and worth having honestly. But wise retirees know the difference between accepting help and handing over the keys.
They'll take an arm on the icy sidewalk. They'll let the grandkids set up the new phone. But they hold on to the wheel of their own life with both hands because they understand what's really at stake. Independence isn't just about doing tasks. It's about staying the author of your own days instead of a character in someone else's plan for you. So they stay capable on purpose. They keep making their own decisions, even the ones the family would make differently. They'd rather stay a little inconvenienced and free than perfectly comfortable and quietly overruled. Because the day you let other people take over the small choices is the day they start taking over the big ones too. And the wise ones simply refuse to wake up as a guest in their own life. Number 2, their sense of purpose. The dirty secret of retirement is this. Doing nothing sounds like heaven for about 3 weeks. Then it slowly starts to feel like drifting. The wise ones saw that coming, so they made sure they always have something that needs them. For some, it's volunteering. For others, it's a part-time something, a project, a cause, or grandkids who genuinely rely on them. It doesn't have to be grand. It doesn't have to impress anybody. It just has to be a reason, a place where your absence would be noticed, a thing that wouldn't get done if you didn't do it. Because purpose is oxygen. A person with a reason to get up, gets up. A person with nowhere to be, over time, starts finding fewer and fewer reasons to be anywhere. And that slide is quiet and slow, and by the time you notice it, you're deep in it. The wise ones simply refuse to let their calendar go blank. Something's always waiting on them. And that something keeps them sharp, keeps them out in the world, and honestly, keeps them going far longer and far happier than any supplement ever could.
Number 1, their future. And I know how strange that sounds, because the world has this whole quiet script for older people that says the future is a young person's word, that once you hit a certain age, you're supposed to stop making plans, stop dreaming, stop starting things, stop looking forward, because, well, the good stuff is behind you now. Just wind down, just coast, just wait. The wise ones burn that script to the ground. They still make plans. They still book the trip for next spring. They still plant the tree they might not sit under. They still start the project, learn the skill, chase the goal, not because they're guaranteed the time, but because nobody's guaranteed the time. A 35-year-old has no more warranty on tomorrow than an 85-year-old does. The only difference is the younger one is fooling themselves and the wise older one has stopped pretending. So they keep tomorrow open for business. They stay a person with something coming, something to look forward to, something on the horizon. Because the day you decide your future is over is the day you start living entirely in the past, and no one has ever built a good life facing backward. The wise retiree isn't finishing their life, they're still living it. Right up to the last chapter, they treat that book like it's still being written, because it is. Most of this list is available to absolutely anyone, at any budget, starting the moment they decide it matters. The wealthiest retirees on earth can't buy a better version of this stuff than you already have access to. That's either the most encouraging thing you'll hear all week, or a gentle nudge, depending on how you've been spending your days lately. So let me leave you with a question, and I actually want you to sit with it. Of these 9, which one have you been quietly letting slip? Because most of us don't give them all up at once. We surrender them one at a time, so slowly we barely notice. The good news is you can grab any of them right back today, no permission required. If this gave you something to think about, give it a like so it finds the next person who needs it, and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next one.